Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. For those who are new, welcome. My name's Monica, and in today's video I'm going to go over the holiday romances that I've read so far in the holiday 2024 season. This is going to be part one because I've actually already filmed this and I realized that it was going to be an hour long because I read 32 books. So here's part one. So today we had a holiday thing at work, and so I wore my Claire Kingsley. This is my holiday reading shirt. I think it's awesome. I love it. It goes along with Claire Kingsley's book, How the Grump Saved Christmas. And I read that book a couple years ago and I loved it. So when she was doing the special edition, I also saw that she had this sweatshirt. I was like, absolutely, I need that sweatshirt. So I picked it up. Anyway, let's get into the books that I have read. So I've read, so I read one historical fiction that takes place during Christmas time, 2 holiday cozy mysteries, and 29 holiday romances. So with a total of 32 books. I didn't mean to do that. It just sort of happened, but in all fairness, a lot of them were novellas. So I'm not going to talk about the synopsis or anything like that. I'm just going to talk about my impressions and my ratings and stuff. So, and I will be very truthful with my ratings. So I'm not going to just talk about my 5 stars. I'm going to talk about them all. So at the beginning of this holiday season, I read The Christmas Tree Farm by Laurie Gilmore. This one is about Kira, who hates Christmas, and she owns a Christmas tree farm. It's in the same Dream Harbor small town world that the Pumpkin Spice Cafe is also in. It's very much forced proximity. They have a stuck in the snowstorm time together. I gave it 3.5 stars. It was a cute small town holiday romance. The story itself was solid. The romance worked. I really liked Ben as a hero. Kira irritated the crap out of me. It was overdone. That's why I didn't completely connect with her. And if I'm going to really love a book, I have to connect with the characters as well as the plot. And then I decided to get a little spicy, and I read The Season for Secrets by QB Tyler. It's QB Tyler. This one had some holiday stuff in it, but it wasn't mostly holiday. It was just about a boss who hooks up with his employee who's very young compared to him, because it's an age gap. It's QB Tyler, okay? And it's his assistant, and they have wanted each other for a while. And listen, this had everything I wanted in a QB Tyler book. I enjoyed it immensely. It was short, it was sweet, it was smutty, and it had the holiday feels that I was looking for at the time I read it, and I gave it 4 stars. Because, I mean, the plot was sad to boo, the romance was erotic, and the characters were interesting. And that's all. Okay, moving on. Then I read, and this is actually before I continue, this is actually in order of when I read them. So then I decided to read How My Neighbor Stole Christmas, because I heard so many people love this book, and it had like 4.3 stars. I was like, okay, I'm going to try this now. But over 60,000 people have read this book, and it's now down to 3.86. So I don't feel so bad now, because my initial thing was, this is fake dating during a holiday town competition where they had to complete holiday tasks and stuff, like building gingerbread and stuff like that. I loved when Shane East read the smutty rhymes of Dr. Seuss. It was so funny. I enjoyed that immensely. It made me giggle. However, how many times can you read the word nipples or nips in a book? That, honestly, that's what I ended up started focusing on, is how many times could she write nipples or nips in a book? And it drove me crazy. Like, it literally took me out of the story. So I can't really tell you much more than how many times. Like, I think I counted over 30 at one point, and then I just stopped, but it just kept coming up and up and up. And I was like, but still, the highlight was Shane East reading the smutty nursery rhymes, or the Dr. Seuss rhymes. It was awesome. So I gave it 3 stars, pretty much for that, because how many times, I don't even know. Like, I stopped counting after a while, and I just was like, can we stop? Can we find another word? That was definitely a me thing. And then I read Merry Little Hate Notes by Jennifer Peel. Jennifer Peel just generally works for me. She has a lot of heart in holiday romances, and I feel like she is someone that I end up going to time and time again whenever I want a holiday romance. And not a lot of people talk about her. Like, right now, her book, Merry Little Hate Notes, has 1,273 ratings, and honestly I feel like it should have more, and the consensus is 3.99 stars. It's best friend sibling, and it's a bit chick lit. This one, it had the holidays vibes, it had a great external plot, and a very, very good romance. Holly and Brandon were friends along with her brother when they were kids. Her brother unfortunately was killed, and so that affected her and her family's relationship with something else that happened with her parents. Brandon gave Holly her first kiss, and then lied to her brother, saying that he did it as a dare, and honestly he didn't do it as a dare. He really liked her, but he just didn't want to stand up to her brother. Anyways, over a decade later, Holly works for Brandon's dad because of stuff that happened with her family, because she actually had a very solid family background. Her mom was this high-powered attorney, her father was this brilliant archaeologist, and now he's dealing with alcoholism, and she's basically taking care of him. Trigger warning for death of a loved one, talk of alcoholism, and talk of cheating. He comes back to town for Holly because he still loves her. She has to work with him to get these accounts for Brandon's father's firm, and she's really, really good at her job, and he did this so he could have forced proximity towards her and be able to woo her. And his mom is this wing woman, and I just thought that was the cutest thing. I enjoyed it. I gave it 4.5 stars. I highly recommend Jennifer Peel, and I hope someone actually will read it. Then I read Married and Wild by Kristen Proby. This is book 0.5 in the Wilds of Montana series. I'm actually listening to the last book in the series right now. So this one is just a quick little prequel holiday novella about John and Joy Wilde, how they got together around Christmas. They were snowed in. This takes place in the 80s. It was very quick. It was fun. It didn't have an audiobook. I read this on ebook, and I enjoyed it for what it was. I gave 4 stars for what it was. And then I read If This Was a Movie by Morgan Elizabeth. This one is her newest holiday romance. And for the last 2 years, I've read her holiday romances, and I haven't been stared wrong yet. I gave this one 4 stars. This was a cute holiday romance. Nate and Jules met at a New Year's Eve bar and ended up snowed in for 2 days, and they had some fun during those 2 days. She mistakenly thought that he was married when she saw Nate and his daughter Sophie and his sister. She assumed something and then blocked him. Well, they reunited a year later when Sophie saw Jules on the street the day that her dance studio and home was being condemned while she was still in her dance costume. And Sophie's like, "You are my Christmas wish come true." Well, Nate was able to correct her assumptions. He helped her with a place to stay while the work on her place was completed, so she could actually go back to her apartment and her dance studio. So this gave Nate the time to woo Jules and for a chance to show them how good they are together. And it was fun. That was a quick, fun plot. It was very much character driven over plot driven. Nate never stopped wanting Jules, and she was afraid of being hurt again. She had to get over her feelings. The spice was typical Morgan Elizabeth, and I enjoyed it. It was really good for what it was. So 4 stars for that one. Then I read A Highland Christmas. This is book 3.5 in the Highland series by Samantha Young, and I ended up giving this 3.5 stars. It was a nanny boss holiday novella, and it was 70 pages. It was sexy holiday vibes. My biggest thing with this book is it hopped between what happened on Halloween and what was happening during Christmas, and that caused a bit of a disconnect. I wanted to just be present with them, and they could have had, instead of having the flashbacks maybe she could have had them talk about what actually happened and had a conversation instead of flashbacks. But that's the only reason why I didn't give it 4 stars. Because if I like a novella, I'm going to give it 4 stars, okay? Speaking of novellas, holiday novellas, the next one I read was Cruel Winter with You. And this is book 1 under the Mistletoe collection. This one was written by Ellie Hazelwood. I gave this one 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed this. It was second chance Snowden. The heroine knew the hero since he was born, as the hero was her best friend's older sister. And it was short. It was to the point. The romance and the characters were fleshed out enough for a novella. I enjoyed it. I loved the hero. He was fantastic. That's probably why that's why I gave it 4.5 stars, is because I really liked the hero. He pined for her. He planned for her. He was like, I'm going to have you. And I really liked that. I really liked the hero. So I gave it 4.5 stars. And then I read Merry Ever After by Tessa Bailey. Okay, this one has a collective 2.81 stars on Goodreads. Okay, I gave it 2.5 stars and I rounded it up to 3. So this one felt like a tamer, traditionally published version of a Jessica Cain novel. So if you ever read Jessica Cain, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I was like, I wonder if she is Jessica Cain. Because I've always wondered who Jessica Cain was, because I read her stuff from time to time. I don't ever really talk about it, but I read her stuff from time to time. Anyway, the characters were horny, obsessive, awkward, and much less unhinged than a Jessica Cain novel. Although he was too big for normal sized jeans, apparently. And that's how they met, because he was kind of stalking her when she was at when she was working at a vintage shop. And yeah, it was the whole thing. It felt like a Jessica Cain novel, just a less unhinged version of it. So 2.5 stars for that one. And then The Only Santas in the Building by Alexis Dara. I think I gave this one, I don't remember. I gave this one 4 stars. And I'm kind of in the minority because this one has 3.39 constant rating. This one was cute. It was short. The building is an apartment where the heroine is in lust with her hot neighbor. They hook up at a Christmas party with the hero wearing a Santa hat. Some of the dialogues and thoughts were interesting. And, oh yes. And there is one line where the heroine said, "Stuffing my stocking with your candy cane." I was like, oh gosh, that's fun. I laughed, I chuckled, I had a good time. So I was like, 4 stars. It's a holiday smutty novella. There's a theme here this year, apparently. And then I read Merriment and Mayhem. This one is book 4 under the Mistletoe collection. This one is by Alexandria Bellefleur. I've never read an Alexandria Bellefleur book before. This one is about Everly, who went to pack up her grandmother's house during Christmas, and she nearly burns it down trying to make cookies. Griffin is a sexy firefighter who saved Everly from a lot of mishaps. She got stuck trying to hang Christmas lights. She nearly burnt down her grandma's old house. She nearly drowned trying to save someone, and he kept saving her over and over and over again. It was a cute, sexy, fun little holiday novella. 4 stars. And then I read All by My Elf. I think this is the one everybody did not like the least. This is Olivia Dade. This is under the Mistletoe collection, and this is book 3. And this one, I gave it 3.5 stars. I gave it 3.5 stars. All by My Elf is about 2 workers who were stuck in a repurposed Wienermobile, which was honestly very odd. And I think the 3.5 stars was very generous of me, to tell you the truth, because they had a crush on each other, but they never took a chance for their own reasons. I mean, it was fine. It was good. The words that they used to describe body parts was very, it was academic. That's all I can say. And it was odd. It was odd. I mean, I gave it 3.5 stars. It was fine. Honestly, if I had to and I'm not going to, but if I had to rethink about it, probably more like 3. I honestly have to look to remember what this one was really about. So some of them I look and then I was like, oh yeah, this is what I remember. This one, it's totally out of my head. The next one I read, though, was Merry Christmas by Piper Rain. This one I really enjoyed. I gave it 4.5 stars. So this one lived up to all the holiday feels I was looking for. We have Bryn and Piper's love story began 6 years earlier with a memorable weekend. Then they reunited when they go back to Utah for Christmas with her family and his cousin. His cousin's married to one of her family members. Anyhow, Pierce was determined to get a second chance with Bryn, especially in their one bedroom. So that one was fun. It was a good second chance romance with right person, wrong time feels. The plot was fun. I enjoyed it. I listened to the audio because I had the ALC, and it was Shane East and Stella Hunter. They did a fantastic job. I really like Shane East. He's such a good narrator. And then I read Once Upon a Christmas Tree. I'm not going to talk much about this one because I've talked about it before because I did give it 5 stars. I really enjoyed this one. My only gripe with this one, it doesn't actually have an ending, and I'm too lazy to go back and change it. But also, I generally don't change my ratings unless there's a real reason why I change my ratings. So I'm giving that 5 stars. Shane East and CJ Bloom did a fantastic job narrating it. I enjoyed Haven as a character, and Alexander Alex, he was the hero who came over with his brothers. Again, I've already talked about this, and that's a 5 star, and I can't wait for the next book. Then the next 2 books, and they're coming out next year. Their story's going to end next year, so I'll be reading that next Christmas. And then I read The Duke Who Despised Me by Scarlett Scott. This one is kind of like, I honestly felt bad for the hero. His wife died when she was pregnant in a house fire, and so it made him very much a recluse. His name's Quint. He ended up being scarred, so he's very much a scarred hero, and his mother hires Jocelyn to be the new housekeeper since he hasn't had a housekeeper in forever because he's let everything go to ruin because he doesn't want to be around anyone. And it's her job to make the house look good for the holidays because his mom was going to sneak up with ineligible ladies to try and get him to remarry. And the romance was a bit insta-love, but it's a novella. So if it's an insta-love novella, it's whatever. I don't care about that because it is a novella. There was depth to the characters. The romance definitely had spice. This was definitely class difference. I really enjoyed it. It was also age gap. Honestly, I had fun with this book. It was a well-developed story. This is a historical romance, and I highly recommend this one. I mean, 4 stars. It was a very good book. Now, until next time, my friends, we will go to the part 2 because I'm gonna have to. I don't want to make it an hour long, so stay tuned for part 2. Bye.